Good morning, Wrestling Inc. Get up, get going. It is me, your managing editor for WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman. Joined here as I am every Wednesday. It's our good friend B-Wo, Brian Wohl. Brian, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Oh, good morning. Great to be here.
I am all over the place here. Brian and I had a call with Raj this morning. That's why we're late. No heat on Raj. No heat on Raj. All heat on me. The call ended on time. I was just not prepared to turn right around into this. But we're getting ready, Brian, for coverage the next couple days, man. I'll be in Vegas tomorrow for the WWE tryout. Not me. I won't be trying out for WWE, although some people seem to be under that impression. I'll be just covering it. I'll be doing some interviews after the tryout. But, dude, you got a sweet gig here on Friday, man. You want to tell everybody what you're doing?
Oh, my goodness. So on Friday, we have the WWE SummerSlam press junket. And I'll be getting to interview several superstars. We'll see who comes our way, who's available. You know, SmackDown is that night, so I don't know how many folks are going to be available to us from SmackDown, but you never know. They could fly them in and out. You know, Charlotte Flair on her helicopter or Roman on the private jet with the Shield.
Sure. They take those everywhere. They're like superheroes, right?
Yeah,
like, just have their helicopter. Roman's got his own jet. For sure, man. I get it. So, dude, that's exciting. Yeah. Ryan's going to get to talk some really big names on Friday. I'll get to talk to some names on Thursday. But we have a big show. And then, of course, on Saturday, it's a big show. So I'm trying to pull up my run sheet here. So I'm doing 7 things at the same time here. And then on Saturday, of course, we're going to have SummerSlam coverage. You'll be in the building. You're going to be in the press booth, right? Covering SummerSlam.
Yeah. I can't believe that we have a press booth. How this isn't really, you know, in our years of covering WWE, this isn't really made available to us this much. Yeah. You know, WrestleMania has a press booth, but I'm very excited that we, the wrestling media, are allowed in to you know, have this access.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. A lot of on-site coverage here. Saturday, I'll be at Warrior Wrestling too. You know, we'll talk more about this at the end of the show, but very exciting, guys. The next couple days are going to be fly by the seat of your pants. And on that note, before we get to this, tomorrow and Friday are going to be very special dailies. We will have content premiering here, though it won't be live the next 2 days at the same time. Me and Paul Pratt tomorrow are going to look at the SummerSlam or the Raw side of the SummerSlam card. You're also going to get a Tommy Dreamer interview from Andy Malnoski. And then Friday, I'll be looking at the SmackDown side of the card with Christy Olsen. And you'll get to hear part 2 of my conversation with Gary Wolf, where he'll probably say something that'll get everybody talking again, man. So
he's probably going to say like Vince owned Donald Trump, and really Vince was the shadow president of the United States for the last 4 years.
Hey, shadow president Vince McMahon. It doesn't sound that crazy to me. Well, this show here today, it is live. So jump in the press or jump in the chat room. God, no cheering in the press box, said Rob Humphrey. That's what made me think press box. Jump in the comments section. I got to slow down here. I'm moving too fast. Jump in the comments section wherever you're at. I might pull your comment up onto the screen here, like Jimmy Bill & Co., who says, any new CM Punk news? No, not really. We're going to talk briefly about Punk in the mailbag later. We'll talk about his work on heels, but no. Not really. He'll probably be at Rampage. That's all I got for you, Jimmy. But if you have any comments, throw them in. I'll throw them up on the screen here. We'll talk with you as the show goes along. Later in the show, if you're listening in audio form after the news, you're going to get to hear me talk to Juventud Guerrera. The Hoovy Juice is in the house here today, B-Wo.
How cool. I got to see Hoovy wrestle in front of Madame Tussauds out here in Hollywood for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Yeah, it was Puma King was in the match. Wow. It was so amazing. It was just right on Hollywood Boulevard. Dave Marquez, I think, put it together. That's man, what a gem out here in LA.
Wow. Okay. Well, he's going to be here today. He's not wrestling Puma King or anything like that. But it's a real fun interview, and I'm really excited to bring it to you. And if you're watching us in video form, 1 p.m. Eastern, that sucker's going to debut over on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. So check it out. Me and Hoovy. He shows off a bunch of masks. He uses the words "the juice," no less than like 800. It's like Virgil has meat sauce and Hoovy has juice.
I mean, those guys know their catchphrases, and that's fabulous.
MCAS.
The juice is loose.
The juice is loose.
Oh, I love it.
All right. Yeah, and in the mailbag, we're going to talk about heels, which is great. But let's get to it. Here's some news you can use. News that will leave a bruise. We'll start here with PW Insider's report about what is going on with Keith Lee. So Keith Lee's been working these dark matches so that the company can figure out what's best for him moving forward. These dark matches, designed to be these short squash matches for Lee, have been booked as a way to refinely decide what works best for him moving forward. He did take to YouTube last week. He revealed the health issues that have kept him out of the ring for 5 months earlier this year, mainly issues with his heart. He has not wrestled on TV since defeating WWE NXT champion Karrion Kross on the August 2nd Raw. That came after he lost to Kross on the July 26th Raw and lost to Bobby Lashley in his return match on the July 19th Raw. Brian, just your thoughts on what's going on with Keith Lee in general at the moment.
Man, I've been at a loss. So I started to do some research. And I looked at the wrestlers who he's been wrestling in these dark matches. We have Austin Theory, 6'1", 220. Chico Adams, 6', 220. Niles Plonk, 6'2", 209. And most recently, Casey Black Rose is about 6 foot 180. And for me, Keith Lee, the way that he got noticed by WWE is wrestling Dominik Dijakovic and his matches in PWG against other big men. And here we are seeing him against guys that are significantly smaller. I mean, obviously they're not tiny, they're 6 foot. Right. But this isn't really Keith Lee's wheelhouse. So it suggests to me that they have no idea what to do with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a Vince thing, right? Like and we're going back, like I feel like a year now to these reports where, Keith Lee had to go back down to the Performance Center because Vince didn't like his style. I guess he wants more of an Andre type, I'm with you, man. Like, I don't know exactly where they're going. Look, Keith Lee goes out and squashes guys week after week. The fans are going to get into it. I get it. Maybe there's a certain style there. But, dude, I think the exact same thing. Like, the best Keith Lee matches that we've seen have been against other big men. And, like, the Karrion Kross thing was, if there'd have been anything to it, would have been great. But it was just throwaway matches. But here in Chicago, dude, when those guys were in the ring, Keith Lee chanced the whole way through. Kross was getting heat. The dynamics seemed to work. It was just thrown together, man. Thrown together. Yeah.
Now I've seen Keith Lee wrestle Matt Riddle out here in PWG, and that was an amazing match. And Riddle isn't a giant man, but Matt Riddle is a heck of a wrestler. So I don't know. Keith Lee, I just really feel like, there was a story that was on Wrestling Inc. earlier today where it said that Kurt Angle said that he felt that WWE prematurely ended Taz's in-ring career because Vince had an idea in his head that Taz would take a pounding and then come back, and he would just be that guy that would always come back. And Taz only saw himself as, a destroyer. And because of that, kind of not mixing of the minds creatively, it just doesn't work. And so I'm wondering if Vince wants to see Keith as that one thing, and it's just not really what his forte is.
Yeah, it is interesting, the progression of Vince's logic, right? He starts off, under the learning tree of his dad, a very traditional, old school promoter, didn't want to have anything to do with Andy Kaufman. He comes along, Vince Jr. says, I'm going to add a little sports entertainment to this while still sticking largely to the roots of good guy versus bad guy, which is where he made his bread and butter in the first, 5 to 6 years of the real boom after WrestleMania. And then he starts to go into this period where the characters start to gravitate away from that simple dynamic. And it kind of culminates in the Attitude Era where he's like, I'm just done presenting good guys and bad guys. I'm just going to present characters for the audience to discern what to make of them. And as time has gone by, like the model that Vince used initially, that everybody goes back to and longs for those days, has just been decimated. And now you have all these guys that Vince is just going to put out there that just seem to kind of float about and don't really seem to grab people organically the way that characters used to. So I don't know. I'll get off my soapbox for a moment, I think. But that was my long and short on how I feel like we've kind of got to this point. So anyway, we have here Eric Roberts. Keith Lee is floating in a black hole. They truly have no idea what to do with him. Run away quickly, Adam Cole. I mean, if this is what they're doing with Keith, I do worry about like what an Adam Cole on the main roster looks like. You know, there's only so many people that have made that leap from NXT to WWE. I mean, honestly, like I think the only real NXT success, I mean, I guess Damian Priest you could make an argument for, though I don't know that he's quite where he could be. But Matt Riddle, man, is probably their biggest success story coming out of NXT in years. Everybody else before that were like NXT people, Rollins, Charlotte, Roman, everybody, they were FCW before they were NXT. And the NXT era hasn't produced the same talent or talent that's been treated the same way since that FCW era.
I mean, I guess I would argue Kevin Owens was always over. Everybody loves Kevin Owens.
Sure, Kevin Owens, I think you could make a case for that. Sure, 100%. But again, it's like Riddle had a lot more to grow. Guys like Damian Priest and Kevin Owens, like they already kind of were who they are. Like didn't really have. They made something out of Riddle. I feel like to where they've kind of gotten here. We have also nice comment here from Ryan Anke 841. Hey Nick, great job on the Pro Wrestling for Life podcast. Awesome podcast. Yeah, me and Waltman, we got a new episode out today with Conan. So you say a nice thing, I'm gonna put it up here.
Man, you guys are on a roll.
Oh yeah. We're doing big business right now. It's wonderful. Let's see here. Antonio Garcia. Keith Lee should be built as Lashley's next opponent after Goldberg. On today's Pro Wrestling for Life, actually, I asked Sean if it's time for Lashley or Reigns to drop their title, right? And I was like, I feel like Goldberg's more likely to take Lashley's title than Cena Reigns. And Sean looked at me like surprisingly like, what are you, dumb? Like he thinks it's unlikely Goldberg or could or should take this title off Lashley. But I disagree with him, man. I think that I hear those Goldberg chants right now. I hear more Goldberg than Oldberg chants. I see him in the IWC. I get it. I feel like they're going to give this belt to Goldberg this Sunday or Saturday.
Look, there's got to be a title change somewhere. And Nick, I think you're right. Look, Goldberg's never really won the WWE Championship. He's had the World Heavyweight Championship. He's had the Universal Championship. So, getting this win here would mean a lot to him and put him in that lineage. And also, it would be a great way to set up Goldberg dropping the belt to his big fan, Big E.
Sure. I can see that. Yeah. I mean, I just feel bad. I don't know if I feel bad because Lashley got a meaningful title run here, and I don't think anybody really saw him being the dominant champion that he was. This was a meaningful reign for Bobby Lashley. But Goldberg just sweeping it again to take the title off of somebody, it's starting to feel wrong. It's just starting to feel wrong to me.
Feel like it was Kevin Owens and then also The Fiend, right?
Yeah, dude. That's what Goldberg does. Hey, this guy's getting over. Cool. Let's feed him to Goldberg. The future of the business. Goldberg. God, how time will remember Goldberg will be compelling. Dave in here, by the way, saying Finn is still over. And Dylan saying, wait a minute, do you not remember Finn Balor's debut on main roster? Don't count him out. Two things. First of all, Finn's always been Finn. They didn't really have to do much with Finn. He's not really, I feel like, an in-house built commodity. But also, man, Finn's main roster debut and run went so well, they sent him back to NXT. And SummerSlam is on Saturday, and I think he's possibly in a match with Baron Corbin, but that hasn't been announced. He has a match at SummerSlam. I'm just saying that, like, people that have really made, you look at the top of the card, those were talents from FCW. We haven't seen the girth of NXT in-house talent make the leap the same way of talent from the era before them, So anyway, while we're talking about NXT, there was a moment last night on NXT, probably the biggest moment of the show, where Indy Hartwell dropped down to one knee, proposed to Dexter Lumis, gave him this like pretty badass like ring. I thought like this.
It was really cool looking.
Yeah, I was like, I kind of dig that ring. if they do have this, it'll be the first NXT in-ring wedding of the modern NXT era. Of course, there were 2 wedding angles in the days of the original NXT format, one between Goldust and Oksana. How could you forget? And the other between Fandango and Maxine. So there you go. I mean, look, Candice is pregnant. Austin Theory seems to be getting felt out for the main roster. Indy needs a vine to swing to, and I'm totally fine with this. The crowd was like into this more than I think anything else on the whole show last night.
People love a wedding, and especially in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And the greatest, we're coming on the anniversary of the greatest SummerSlam wedding ever. Macho Man versus Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah, well, they did it in the end, so that played out in court, right? Divorce court at some point.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but right on the anniversary of that big SummerSlam wedding, it'll be fun. Hushberger who's saying Robert Stone's failed dive to the outside. That was amazing. Yeah, Robert Stone was also a highlight. But this was the go home to TakeOver, man. And I feel bad saying this because I really like a lot of people at NXT, but this is the least hyped I think I've ever been for a TakeOver in my life. And we're talking about Samoa Joe's return to the ring. We talked about Keith Lee earlier. I don't know if it was intentional, non-intentional, but the outcome is that in the 3 weeks that 3-4 weeks we've been building a TakeOver, Vince McMahon and main roster creative basically kicked in the dick the build to Samoa Joe versus Killer Cross or Karrion Kross. They took the air out of the room. So I feel bad for a lot of people working very hard down there. It seems like it's just a tough time to get ahead in NXT at the moment. So
yeah, the Adam Cole match versus Kyle O'Reilly, it all just feels weird. But I should be excited for this, and I just feel weird.
Yeah.
One thing though, the one thing that is positive, if we were going to search for a positive, I was so shocked to see Duke Hudson get upset last night.
Oh,
Carmelo Hayes.
Carmelo Hayes and Odyssey Jones. That's going to be a fun finish.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a positive in NXT right now. But yeah. Oof.
By the way, I don't know what all of these. We're getting rated. Somebody's rating us right now. Great. Hi. Welcome. Thanks for rating. I don't know who you are. Maybe Marty the Moth. Not sure. Thank you. Hushberger. Justin LeBar says this is NXT's funeral. Is how he felt it. Dude, it is. There is an air of. Yeah. Again, I feel bad. So anyway, we have Dave in here. The TakeOver card will probably be a good watch, but I've been kind of over TakeOvers since the pandemic started. I haven't been over them. There's been some good TakeOvers, and the In Your Houses were fun. There's been some excitement. There is kind of a yeah. Oh, by the way, Tony Nese, the premier athlete, I guess is the one who's rating us. Hey, Tony. Welcome. Thank you for rating us here. We're big fans of yours. Wishing you much success. You were not on NXT last night. Maybe dodged a bullet in that one, right? So better luck on the other side, buddy. Anyway. Eric Roberts here saying these upcoming tapings are going to feel very somber. Yeah, man. Very somber. That's cool. Tony Nese stopped in. Well, also in the world of WWE, Ash Rose recently interviewed Eva Marie for a future issue of WWE Kids magazine in the UK and asked her who she would bring into her Evolution stable. She said, if I could bring anyone into my stable, why not Brock Lesnar? And that's who she floated out there. Now, a ridiculous thing on the surface, right? Eva representing Brock Lesnar. But I remember all the stuff she was doing with Parker Boudreaux on social media, right?
Yes.
And this felt more of a Parker tease than a Brock Lesnar tease to me. I don't know about you.
Oh, 100% yes.
Right.
100% yes. And they look great together. It was a cool concept. I really like that idea, and we'll see where things go. You never know.
Yeah, I feel weird because I've done a lot of interviews recently with talent who's unfortunately been released. And I always have it on my list to be like, how's Parker looking in the ring, right? But I always chicken out and I feel weird because it's like not really a question like about them, and I try to be, respectful of my guests. I also kind of like don't want to know, right? But I am super interested to know how Parker is doing down in developmental at the moment.
The one who I'm even more interested in is Bronson Ricksteiner. That dude looks like a tank.
I like this comment from Eric Roberts. She'll name Parker Poo Drop.
You win the day, sir.
Hushberger. Yes, Parker will be her number 2. Poo Drop. And Poo Drop.
Oh, man.
We have great listeners. So then we go over to our pivot story here. Former WWE star Ruby Soho, FKA Ruby Riot, took to Twitter yesterday and fueled the rumor mill on her post-WWE future. She posted a new teaser video that appears to show her traveling from Orlando to Penn Station in New York City. The video ends with a slide that says, the Runaway to be continued. Now, this has led to a lot of speculation that Soho could debut for AEW at their Grand Slam edition of Dynamite on September 22nd. The same show Daniel Bryan is rumored to debut on. So, building up the first dance here this Friday for Punk. Looks like the next big build here, I guess, is this New York City show. I'm surprised they're not going to bring Ruby out in Chicago. She's from this area. Like, I don't know why. I mean, I get it. She's going to be a big, fun thing. Her and Britt will work very well together. But I would like to see her debut in this market. I want everything. I'm a Chicago fan. Give it to me.
Yeah, I really thought it was going to happen. But I guess Rampage is only an hour, so you gotta squeeze things in. I don't know. I would have liked to see her in Chicago too. I agree. Yeah. Man, I love that video she put up. Whoever is putting in the money behind these vignettes, they look awesome. She's looking so cool. This has got me hyped.
Yeah, it felt very Giancarlo to me from GCW. And it's my new favorite subgenre of pro wrestling videos. The mysterious release, like I haven't made debut anywhere videos, right? That everybody gets to, like, they're either escaping a prison or they're missing a train. Like who can tell the craziest metaphor, right? Like the next one's going to be somebody on an airplane and it's crashing and they're going to be like, I feel completely out of control and all of my friends around me are going to die. Metaphor, people. Metaphor, right? I'm just saying these are all these videos are now. Eric Roberts badly needs to have legitimate TV-ready women. Ruby is a no-brainer. I 100% agree with that. We need more than just the flavor of the month to step up to Britt Baker to make a women's division in AEW. And I want to see us. I mean, to WWE's credit, there are top women's stories on their cards, Raw and SmackDown, and then there are 1, 2, maybe even 3 women's stories also going on their shows that do not involve the title. And Ruby certainly great, could be flavor of the month to step up to Britt Baker, not against it. But I feel like there's more that she can be doing or women can be doing at that company in general rather than just being the next person to wrestle Britt Baker.
Yes. Yeah, Ruby is another pillar that you can build your women's division around. And once Riho returns, once they get their full female roster back together, they're going to have some really solid pillars to build stories around. This is very exciting for AEW.
I hope so. Michael the Virus saying Moxley started the video trend. He did. Full credit to Mox. He did. And Antonio Garcia saying Soho is a neighborhood in New York. I mean, I know she's from Chicago, but does Ruby Soho in New York, does that play the same? Points for creativity, I guess. Maybe we'll see. Lastly, here before we get to Hoovy, ECW original Dawn Marie has tested positive for COVID-19. She currently works as a nurse and has been on the front lines of the coronavirus pandemic since last year. She took to Twitter this week and announced that she recently tested positive for the virus. Marie has been working as a nurse in New Jersey for several years now. The Garden State has a total of 1.06 million coronavirus cases, with 26,715 deaths since the pandemic hit last year, according to CDC data. I did not know that Dawn was a frontline nurse. Props to her, man. I hope she is all right. I mean, first of all, any thoughts on Dawn Marie getting COVID-19 here and being a frontline worker, Brian?
I actually did know she was a nurse because I follow her on Twitter and she talks about it.
Yeah.
And she's actually been pretty vocal over the past year about what's going on with COVID and trying to be a positive voice through all this. It's heartbreaking to know that she got this terrible disease, but she's been vaccinated, and hopefully it won't affect her very much. But it shows, we're all vulnerable. None of us are exempt from this, unfortunately. But we can do things to prevent it and to mitigate any possible damage. Mm-hmm. So I encourage everyone to take any precautions you can, whether it be get a vaccination, wear your mask, do what you can to keep you, your family, and your neighbors safe. Yeah. We want to get back to wrestling. We want to get back to partying together.
Agreed. V Civ 3347 extreme times need an extreme nurse. I like that comment. Yeah, and just a couple of COVID notes here to very on an uplifting note before we get to Hoovy. There was just announced this morning that the third booster vaccine dose is going to be available here in the next month if you've gotten two. So something to keep in mind that the vaccine that you got up to maybe 8 months ago could start to be waning. Chicago yesterday announced a mandatory indoor mask policy starting this Friday. So that means the United Center show and probably all of the shows all out weekend are going to be mask mandatory. I wonder how this affects FanFest. I wonder how this affects media scrums. Like, it's just the timing of all of this with the vaccine waning and this mask mandate. I'm going to go do my job, and I feel very confident in everything. I've got home vaccine tests, and I keep myself, pretty regularly tested. But the timing of all this, with the business opening up at the same time everything is going screw with COVID, it does feel like a little bit of a recipe for a disaster. And I wonder here in 2-3 weeks if the business is operating at the same level it is now.
I can tell you some encouraging news with all of the folks that were at Lollapalooza. I believe there was somewhere close to 100,000 or something like that, or maybe 300,000 at Lollapalooza. They only had about 209 reported cases of COVID out of the 300,000 people that were there. Right. So being outdoors and and Lollapalooza required vaccinations for the attendance of that event. So there are things that are encouraging. It's not a definite. So we have some reason to be hopeful at least. But take precautions, please. Take precautions.
All right, Brian, I want to thank you for joining me at the top of the show, talking all the news today. And thank you to Juventud Guerrera. He does not do a lot of press. The Juice, I thank you. If you are watching us right now live in video form, we're about 27 minutes away from premiering my conversation with Hoovy over on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. So go check it out. Very proud of this one. And if you're listening to us in audio form, hey, thanks for sticking around to the mailbag. We got a little bit more to go here today. So today, in the mailbag, the poll question comes to us from @WinkDaily, WINC Daily over on Twitter. Wow, we're at 1,170 followers here. It'd be great to hit 1,200 followers by SummerSlam weekend. So if you want to go give us a follow, that would be wonderful. Today's poll question stems from the following report from Showbuzz Daily, saying that the series premiere of Heels drew 128,000 viewers on Stars this past Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. The first episode of Heels did a 0.02 rating in the 18 to 49. The new pro wrestling drama on Stars did not make the cable top 150. To compare, Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, served as the lead-in for Heels and drew almost double, more than double, 386,000 viewers with a 0.13 rating and was number 49 in the cable top 150. There was talk on social media that many fans used the Stars app to watch Heels after it aired live, which is what I did. The third episode of Heels on Sunday, August 29th, is going to feature the debut of CM Punk's character, Ricky Rabies. So the week after everything goes haywire here in pro wrestling. Have you watched Heels yet, Brian?
I haven't. I used to have Stars during the pandemic, and I watched just about every movie in the library, which is a fantastic library. But I was hoping to hop on a little bit later this month and binge some Heels because it looks really fun.
Yeah, it is. It's I judge pilots on a curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I watched Young Rock's pilot and I was like, there's way too much going on in this show. This thing is a mess. All right. And by the end of the first season, I was in. I thought it was I was hooked. I don't dislike Heels. I think the premise is sound. He's trying his best to show the darker, grittier side, the real side of pro wrestling. I just think that I'm spoiled now because we've had several kind of pro wrestling series, right? As before there was no television series about pro wrestling. Now we have like a few to kind of like compare to. Glow and Young Rock have a certain kind of funness to them, right? Where you tune in, you watch it. There's some sad stuff, there's some dark stuff, but ultimately it's like a pretty bright, fun show. Heels is not that, man. Like Heels is like a drama about pro wrestling, and I don't know that I go as far as Eric Roberts here, who said Heels felt very cheap, poor acting. I'll check another episode, but expectations are low. But it is a different tone. It's I'm gonna watch it all because like it's a big pro wrestling thing. But the series premiere did not. I gave it a 6, 7 out of 10. That's how I felt.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to more of it. I think CM Punk, once he shows up on the show, his charisma will probably drive it. I think that'll really help it too. That'll pick up the energy and change it up a little bit.
What if for the first dance comes out and it doesn't pop a big rating, and Heels when Punk comes on doesn't draw a lot of interest. Punk is a very proud man, and the numbers have to make sense. And I'm sure the first dance will do quite well, I would imagine. But that was kind of the knock on Punk over at Backstage was like, wow, we landed CM Punk for WWE Backstage. And then when they put him out there, the audience was just kind of like, meh, right? It didn't really do anything for the show. I don't want to downplay Phil Brooks, but I don't know that it's a foregone conclusion that things are just going to ramp up inherently because CM Punk is there. That has not necessarily been the case with Punk and over time. His movies do okay. His UFC run was fine, but there hasn't really been, and maybe a return to pro wrestling. Maybe that's the spark that's going to put everything. But Punk plus Project has not inherently guaranteed huge success.
It's very true, but I will point out to Dave Bautista did not have a big hit for a while. Dude was trying everything for about, I think, 6 to 8 years or something before Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a while.
Well, but I think the thing that put him on, he did the James Bond movie before Guardians, didn't he? Like, isn't that what?
No, that was after.
That after? So Guardians came first, and then he got the Bond thing?
Yeah.
All right.
It was, which is crazy. Like, everything kind of came after Guardians, and nobody even really understood or knew that Guardians was going to be the hit that it was. It was just magic. And so I have a feeling that Punk will have his magic moment at some point, and he will break out. I think he is ready, and when the right role happens, he'll do it. Just like I think Becky Lynch will.
Yeah. Well, Becky Lynch, I think, is going to have. I think Becky Lynch is really going to surprise people in the coming years about how well she does in crossing over.
She's going to be a box office superstar.
Sasha Banks too. Sasha Banks, all the star power in the world. The women of WWE right now are compellingly more intriguing to Hollywood. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a change of tone, but the women are seemingly breaking out, it looks like. Well, we got a couple Twitter write-ins. This one's from Rip City Beef. Between having HBO, Showtime, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Peacock, Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, I just can't add stars into the mix too. I'll check it out when it comes to Netflix or Blu-ray. All right. It's a lot, man. Like just getting to stars. Yeah. Like Tim SM Seems interesting. I don't have stars at E91 Tyrim. Not available in my country and impossible to find. So, yeah, it's not. But I don't even know what a power book raising Canon is. And that thing was number 49 in the cable top 150. This thing was on at 8 o'clock Central Time. Couldn't even, I mean, it did impact numbers, you know? I don't know. I don't know how
they've got some decent advertising in LA. I've seen their billboards are nice. They look, at least their presence here is felt. So,
okay. Well, we have a lot of write-ins here, so I'll try to read my many as I can. Dave in, I wanted to like Heels, but couldn't finish the episode. JJ Smith, I watch Heels on Stars channel on my Amazon Prime. B Meister 316 just has a Heels was thumbs up. Sean Chappendale, first episode of Heels was solid. Glow is the easy goat, says Dave in. Eric Clark, Heels is so good. King Rail, best wrestling show is Dark Side of the Ring. Okay, fair enough. Sean Chappendale, Heels is dark. Let's see. We have Michael the Virus. Heels is the dark alley of pro wrestling shows. Not fun, but wants to feel real, right? Yeah. Let's see here. And anything else about Heels that I really want to read? No, but I will read Rob Humphrey's comment. I'm just waiting on Lily to get her own show. I don't know how that one would play. A weird ass Lily thing. Okay, we're done here for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Brian, thank you again. Thank you to Hoovy. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be joined by Paul Pratt. We're going to do our Raw SummerSlam preview episode. We're also going to have Andy's conversation with Tommy Dreamer. Tonight, come to Replay Lincoln Park in Chicago. I'll have my AEW Dynamite party. I got some more wrestling stuff to give away. And we're just going to drink and have fun and enjoy Dynamite. And we're going to hopefully do it every Wednesday if enough people come out. Also, if you want more coverage, like we said, I'll be at the WWE tryout tomorrow in Vegas. We'll have coverage up on the site of that. Brian will be at SummerSlam on Friday, Saturday, doing the junket and on-site coverage. I will be at Rampage on Friday night at the United Center. I will be calling Warrior Wrestling on Saturday out in Chicago Heights. And if you like the Wrestling Inc. Daily, support WrestlingInc.com. We're on all your favorite socials, and the Wrestling Inc. podcast goes live at night after all of the big shows, including we got Dynamite tonight, SmackDown on Friday, SummerSlam on Saturday, TakeOver on Sunday. All of those will be post shows here, Wrestling Inc.'s YouTube channel. And you can subscribe on whatever podcast platform you like as well. Brian, what do you want to plug, promote, put over here to wrap up the show today?
Oh, man, follow me, guys, on Twitter at Brian Wohl for any updates on all of my SummerSlam junket and SummerSlam pay-per-view observations, pictures, and whatever else I find. Follow us on Wrestling Inc. And also thanks to everybody that came out last week to Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank for Brian Posehn's show and then mine afterwards. Brian Posehn had a great Roman Reigns joke in there. It was real fun.
There you go.
And it was a great night. So I hope to see you guys out at SummerSlam. Don't hesitate to tweet me. Maybe we'll all meet up or something. I need to find a place to see SmackDown with some fans and watch Rampage right afterwards.
There you go. Yeah, go hit up Brian, everybody. And I'm at Nick_Hausman over on Twitter. If you're in my orbit as I'm running around this weekend, feel free to hit me up. I'll do my best. I admittedly have anxiety about all the traveling I'm going to be doing here and coverage in the next couple days. BetterHelp.com/PW4L if you want 10% off your first month. Get your brain checked. I do every week. So mental health is important, everybody. Take care of yourself. I will talk to you tomorrow. Thank you all so much for the amazing support. The next live show will be Monday. We're going to look at SummerSlam, Rampage, everything. That's going to be a loaded ass show. It'll be me and Michael Weissman here on Monday. So come back then. I'll talk to you then. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it.